Hey everybody, welcome back. I know this review is a little late, but we're back in the thing of working and getting the review shot late, so there's that. One of the things about the costume is I've decided that I like the color of this tie more, but I like the size of the red and black tie more. I like how it's thinner instead of so thick. So I'm going to try and get a thinner tie in this color that matches the size of that one. But anyway, I thought this episode was really good. The Escaped Artist was the name of it. Thought it was really well done. I thought it was one of the lower key episodes. Not quite as much happened, but it still flowed very smoothly. There was a lot that happened in it regardless, and there were just enough like sinister happenings, violence, things getting mixed up, and plot twists to keep it going. So let's just jump right in. I found out that yes, indeed it was Romero's house that was on fire. And that's really good because it's bringing Romero more into the picture. In the first season, we definitely saw that there was something messed up with him. Definitely saw that he had a very sinister side. And in this season, he's really showing it a lot more, and he's quickly becoming one of my favorite characters. I'm really starting to like Romero. Last season he shot Abernathy, and of course he knew Norma was there. He was just like, go home, Norma. And, we surely saw something there, and that's where it started, and it's really taken off in this season. And I had to go back and check, because I wasn't quite sure. Like I said, I'm sometimes hard of hearing, but I looked back in the last episode, and it was his house. In a way, it kind of looked like a church, the way it was set up. But it is his house. So that is confirmed. It is Romero's house. And that's great. Because that leads to something that I thought was really interesting in this episode. And really well done. And really nice, actually. But anyway, so we last left off with Norman. He attacked, what was the brother's name? Caleb. Escape my mind from there. He attacks Caleb, and we start to see that he has a bit of Norma in him, like I called him the Norman. So that's really cool. But he gets beat up, gets beat off on the side, and it's just that he wakes up in this episode. He's finally awake. In the last episode, he's in Cody's car, and he's still really just zoned out. He's less detached than he was, but he's still detached. He's still zoned out. In this episode, starts off, he's already back to his normal self, as normal as Norman can be. Sounds funny to say. But anyway, so when they're driving down the road, because in this episode, Cody and Norman decide to go out to the outskirts of White Pine Bay and go up into the wilderness, which I thought was really awesome. I thought this was a great plot. I don't say twist. It's not a plot twist by any means. A plot device, because it strengthened the relationship between Cody and Norman. And Cody is actually growing on me. I'm starting to like her more. I think one reason it's not like I dislike her. It's just I'm such a huge Emma fan. I totally dig her. Such a huge Emma fan that it's like, Cody, you upset the balance of the relationship, but it works. It works really well. I'm glad she's upsetting the balance of the relationship, but it's still like, grr. Really hard to explain how I feel about that, but I'm liking it. That's the main thing. It's not something I'm like, I don't like. Why are they doing this? It's so stupid. Works really well for this show. Really works really well for the characters, and it's adding a lot more tension to it, which is all so much leading up to a breaking point. Not just that, but everything is leading up to a breaking point. So glad. It's like I kind of want to see where it ends, but I don't want the season to end, so it's anyway. So last time Dylan moved out, and we see him get woken up by Remo, I think is how they pronounce it, which is his partner. I looked up and I kept listening for it this time, and I finally heard it. Anyway, what are you doing here? You've sent you 4,000 some another text. Obviously not literally, but just saying that he sends so many texts. They've got a mission. They go out, and, that's adding tension because, Dylan's dealing with all this stuff. Now he has no place to live, so he's sleeping in random places where he really shouldn't be sleeping. And his character is really getting darker. And that really shows at the end of this episode something he does that I was honestly really surprised about. So, Zane comes in. And it has to do with Zane at the end, which was something that surprised me. But anyway, he has tension over fire. He doesn't want to stop with that. He wants to do more. There's so much more he wants to do. It really, again, shows how messed up and how insane he is. And he has this thirst for violence and mayhem and chaos. And it's just like, you know, this is a bad dude. It's a bad situation. You know, we got to get out of there. This is not good. But again, it works. But anyway, that's building up too, and I like how they're doing that. I like how they're building everything up. But anyway, one of the things is I really like the Norma and Norman relationship. It's one of my favorite relationships of all TV series. Not so much in the top 5, maybe top 10, but definitely up there. And I like how, like, you know, they're so close. Such a weird way, but they're drifting apart, and Norma doesn't like that. She's still trying to pull Norman in and keep him in, and Cody doesn't help with that, which I'll get to. But with everything that's happening, the bypass, you know, now that she's starting to like Dylan a lot more, and they're starting to get along more, and they have the big fight, and everything reverts. You know, she's a lot more stressed than she was, and, you know, this is the way she acts, you know. Vera Farmiga is awesome. She's gorgeous. She really acts very well. And, you know, she could tell she's really stressed out. She was having a horrible time with this. Really great at playing emotions. It wasn't stale. It wasn't taken back. It wasn't unbelievable. And one of the things she said that I really liked, and it shows how she really tries to keep Norman in her clutches, is she said that it's just you and me, Norman. It's you and me. Dylan left. Dad's dead, you know. It's just you and me. It's always been you and me. And it always will be you and me. And that's somewhat true. Actually, it's true in a lot of ways. But that's another thing. She's trying to keep Norman in. Keep him in, you know. Don't let him go. She can't lose him. If she were to lose him, she would snap. That'd be the final breaking point. You know, way too much weight for her to handle. Is boom. You know, everything would go wrong. Even worse than it already is. Like I said, she's way into Norman. She has that husband-like relationship with him, which is great. I love that relationship. You know, they do so well. I'm really hoping at some point, if they haven't already, I don't think they have, I'm hoping they get an award for that, because I really think they freaking deserve it. I really think they freaking deserve it. So, something interesting in this episode that I really enjoyed, it was one of the nicer aspects of the episode, one of the lighter aspects of the episode, even though it kind of starts off as a bad thing. What leads to is something bad is the house fire, because now Romero has to stay at the base hotel. And what I like about this is, while there is tension between Romero and Norma, mostly on Romero's part, and definitely they'd had their differences in the past and such, and she's always mad at him for the most part. This time she's really trying to be nice to him. She hears it. He finally tells her about the fire. And she's trying to be nice and hospitable. She does some weird things like wash his clothes. And he, of course, asks her not to do that again. But she's really just trying to be nice. She's really trying to be comforting to him. And trying to be kind. I thought that was a really good way to go with it. And as they continue fighting, she's showing her sweet side. And I thought that was great. Really liking that because, you know, Romero is he keeps to himself. He takes care of his own problems. His problems are his problems and no one else's. He takes care of other problems too throughout the town that he needs to. He deals with what he needs to deal with. But he's a one-man army, He doesn't like help. He likes to keep to himself, you know. He's not very personal at all, but that's why I like him. So the whole being nice thing, he kind of does warm up to Norma, but at the same time, yeah, it's really kind of odd. But, like I said, I loved that. I loved how they did that in the episode. Now, let's talk about Nick a little bit. I'm still not really liking him. I see what he's going for. I don't know the actor's name. But I see what he's going for. He's just a tough, you know, very started gangster guy, you know. He's into a lot of stuff. He's very diabolical. And it's, but I don't like how, you know, they're straight up in stale is the only word I can think of. And I don't want to diss the actor by any means, because I've only seen him in this. He could be really good in another thing. And he's probably really good in this part. I just don't like the staleness of it. And again, that's probably the wrong word to use, but it's something I don't like. I think he should be a little more colorful. He should still be taken back, but I think he's too taken back. He's still too static, and he's just, doesn't work out for me. But I like how it's doing with the bypass, because he wants the bypass gone too. And I truly believe that that's what he really wants. I think in a way he's using Norma. He's using her in a way to get something, whatever that something may be. Or maybe trying to pull her into something. Because, you know, I've said it a million times before, I don't trust anybody in this town. It's messed up, you know, except for Emma, of course. She's cool. And her dad's probably cool too, but we don't see much of him at all. I don't think we've seen any of him since the first season. I could be wrong, but if we have, we haven't seen much of him. Especially someone like Nick. He's way into way too much stuff, you know. When she goes to his boat, he's like bodyguards and servants, which isn't all that weird. But it really helps to really push the image and really put it set in your mind that, you know, he's very high up. He's rich. He has all this money to afford a big boat, bodyguards, servants to bring him food, wine, whatever he needs. And that really sets more into his character. About how high up he is and how, you know, how intertwined he is with the crime and, you know, the families in town. And I think there's so much more that we don't know about him yet. And I'm hoping they delve into that and expand his character more, because then I think I really like his character. Because it was kind of the same way with Dylan at first, and he really grew on me, and I'm really like Dylan now. So maybe it'll be the same way with Nick. So, anyway, Emma and Gunnar, I think Norman's jealous. Even though he has Cody, I think he's really jealous. Because she comes in and, you know, he's talking about Dylan, and this is one of the things I liked about Emma. I like how kind she is, and I like how straightforward she is and optimistic she is. You know, Norman's talking about how Dylan left, he moved out, and he's like, you know, it's something that can't be fixed. And Emma just looks at him straight up and says, you know, what is there, what could possibly happen that could not be fixed? And that's true. There are things that can't be fixed no matter what you do, but those are much more dire things. Those are much more dead-end, bottom of the barrel shit things that happen. And the thing with Dylan could be fixed with some work. It'd be hard, it'd be difficult to do, but it could be fixed. And Emma has a point, and I like how she brought that up. Really adds more to her character. I like how we're seeing her a lot more, because in the first episode we didn't see much of her, and that really bummed me out. Even though the first episode was great. Anyway, so Gunnar comes in, you know, and they kiss, and it's right in front of Norman, and he kind of looks at him, you know, he's not really disgusted. He kind of looks down about it. He kind of looks sad about it. And like I said, I think he's jealous. Because out of that, you know, he's trying to put down Gunnar. He's like, you know, he does pot. You know, he keeps saying, you know, he does pot. And Emma's defending him, you know. Well, nobody's perfect. You know, he does pot. And, you know, he's trying to, you know, bring Emma back. He doesn't want to be with her, but he doesn't want to see her with somebody else at the same time. He's really jealous. And that's just going to add so much more to all that is on his plate, you know? It's insane what's on his plate. But anyway, moving on. Oh, one thing I have to say, Emma is starting to present herself better. Like I said, I've always really been into Norma. I dig her character so much. But she's trying to make herself look pretty. She's taking better care of herself, you know. She's wearing looser, more revealing clothes. Not like bad, not bad revealing or anything, but she's definitely trying to wear more stuff like that to really impress Gunner. And she's happy. She's happy in the relationship so far. So she's really trying to go about a new look. But anyway, so now this was something I thought was really cool. Because like I've said a bajillion times, Norma is trying to keep Norman in her clutches, and she runs into Cody, and Cody's kind of, she's not like literally like, she's not like straight out mean, but she's really sarcastic, and she has a high attitude, you know, a punky attitude like she always does, and that really pisses Norma off. And that leads to something that I noticed later in the episode when she's talking to Norman about it. But I can't wait to see where that goes, because I still think Cody is in somewhat bad news for Norman. But at the same time, I think she's good news in a way. I think she's a bit of both, like a double-edged sword pretty much. But anyway, the difference between her, between Norma and Cody, and therefore between Norma and Norman, is going to build up. Because Norman isn't going to walk away from Cody that easily just because Norma doesn't want it. He loves Norma. He loves his mother very, very much. But just because she doesn't like it, I don't think he's going to walk away. I mean, he may start trying to see her in secret. He might tell her, you know, everything's fine. You know, I broke up with her even though, are they really together? Kinda. Ish. You know, I'm not seeing her anymore. Oh, he does say that, doesn't he? But anyway, we'll get to that later. Anyway, and back to Emma. I'm trying to go chronologically here, instead of jumping around like I always do. Might jump around some, but I'm still trying to go chronologically. Emma asked Norma about sex, and at first, Norma's kind of taken aback. At first, I thought she might think that Emma was asking it about Norman. But later, you see that I don't think that's the case, because she says, you know, if it's with the right person, you know, you really love them, and you know, and all this, it's lovely. She's kind of, in a way, pushing Emma to do it. She wants Emma to do it wisely and with the correct person, but she's also pushing her in a way to do it if it's the right person. And I'm just going to say it later in the episode, you know, they do hook up, they do have sex. That's jumping ahead, but whatever. I was on the topic, and it needs to be said. And I'll probably expand on it later when I get to that point. But anyway, so, like I was saying, there's a big plot with, you know, Norman and Cody that go out into the wilderness, but first they got to get money. And this is one of the much darker aspects of the episode. We've already seen that Cody does not have the best home life, but we haven't really seen why. We really haven't seen much of it. She stops at her house, she goes in to get money, and the tension's already there, you know. There's something wrong there. She tells Norman to stay in the car, which of course he does, and he gets out. But she goes in, her dad's in there, and they start yelling, you know, back and forth. You know, you can tell he does hit her. I'm pretty sure she comes out like a black eye, or she's bruised in some way. It's not extremely noticeable, but it's definitely there, in a way. And one of the things I liked about this is when Norman gets out of the car and starts hearing this stuff, he does that blank stare that he does, and you know it's pissing him off. He cares about Cody, and Norman is one of those people that you don't fucking mess with the people he cares about. You don't. So he's already not liking her dad, and something's going to happen there, I think. And what it's going to lead to, who knows? If something happens, is Cody gonna like him more for it? Is she gonna be like, I hated my dad, there was definitely something there, but you went too far, or whatever he's gonna do. What's gonna happen there? We'll see. But I'm looking forward to it. I think something is definitely gonna happen there. But anyway, so Norma goes to the boat, and then, like I said, there are all the bodyguards and the servants there, and you know, he says, and then they're talking, and then there's a conference call, and Nick has to go away, but he says that everything's taken care of, and so that's. Later, she goes to find that guy, and they have a really nice plan worked up to stall, at least the very least, stall the bypass. What was the animal? Some kind of animal they found on where they're trying to do the bypass, and they're on the endangered species list. And that's something that will kick the bucket and stir it up and delay the bypass. A very good strategy there. But it's already taken care of. Behind the scenes, all Norman has to do is take the files down to the city council. And something happened with the city council actually at the end of each episode, which I thought was really good and really shows Nick's darker side. But anyway, one of the things that I'm liking, and it actually leads up to the thing that surprised me about Dylan and Zane, was this part isn't, but Zane comes in and he wants to talk to Dylan alone. He doesn't want Remo there, and he tells Dylan, just Dylan, not Remo, to meet Zane at the Mexican restaurant later. And he's definitely trying to separate him, and you can tell Remo is really upset about this. Remember in the first season, when Dylan first started working, he was automatically made the boss when Remo had been there for years and years, and Remo didn't like that. Him and Dylan have become partners and friends, but at first he didn't like that, and now Dylan, now Zane's come in, he's replaced Gil, and again, Dylan is the favorite. Remo's still pushed off the side. He's just a lackey. Forget this guy. He's just there to be there. He's just a lackey. He doesn't like that. But one of the things that I saw the pictures for, and I was really looking forward to this episode, was the fight between Romero and Zane. And to call that fight between Romero and Zane it doesn't even cut it. Zane gets his ass kicked. He gets his ass handed to him. Romero beats the shit out of him. Beats him against the car, throws him on the ground. And I love the line he said, when you least expect it. Like, he's trying to get him to stop. If you don't stop, when you least expect it, I'll burn you and your business. Because he's upset about the fire. Really pissed off. Zane is a #1 target. This is pretty much all Romero sees right now. And, I think that he does get hit once or twice, maybe. Because later, Norma is patching up his wounds, and I'll get to that. But I thought that was great. Love seeing Zane get his ass kicked. Totally what he deserves. It's going to make him worse, yes, but it's still what he deserves. So, let's get back into one of the main parts of the episode, the hike that Norman and Cody went on. And I'm going to jump around here a little bit. I know I said I was going to go chronologically, but I want to focus on this for now. They go out into the mountains. And, they start drinking some beer, which, there's nothing bad about that. They're teenagers. That's what they're going to do. But at the same time, it's kind of like he's kind of influencing them to do somewhat bad things. Not terrible, but, you know what I mean. She's taking a little more to the bad side, and Norma's not going to like that if she finds out. But Norman says that he feels safe. He feels safe with Cody. You're like, that's a weird thing for a guy to say to a girl, but Cody kind of smiles. And, she seems to really like that. It's not kind of like an awkward smile, like, yeah. And she says, no, that's a really nice thing to say. I really believe that she does. I really think she really cares for Norman. and it's keeping him around. Whether they're in a relationship or not, it's still not clear. But anyway, later, they find the tree house. They go up. They're, lying there together, and they start kissing. It doesn't. I don't think they do anything more than that. But the relationship is definitely enhancing. It's getting more and more in depth. And she was kissing that Paul guy earlier and making out with him, but that's completely different. That was just to make out. I really think there's something there. There's something much more to the fact. Much more feelings and everything, much more emotion in the way that she was kissing Norman. It's definitely something there. I think they are going to get into some kind of relationship. Either that or Norman's going to misunderstand, and that's going to lead to more tension. Either way, be awesome. But I'm thinking there'll be a relationship there. Because if they do it again, it'll be a similar Bradley situation where, he got the wrong idea. And I'm hoping while I think that'll work well, I hope they don't go that way. I'd rather see the way where they actually do get into a real, honest relationship. So, I thought that whole thing was great because it brought Norma and Cody closer together. It was a very light mood, very happy mood, very low-key, like I said, and I like the low-key episodes, as long as they don't do them too much. It's really nice balance. It's not always dark and sinister, which is the thing the show does well, but the lightness is very well done, and it's very nice. So, Norma asks Romero about Nick. And he tells him he's bad news, stay away from him. And this is why when he comes back from the fight, and he's a little bruised up, and, he's patching him up. And, that's another thing, that she's really being nice to him. And this is when he's starting to, accept it. Maybe not really enjoying it, but he's accepting. Okay, just kind of like, whatever, just do it. But anyway, so, let's get into the Cody thing. Let's get one more thing about them, and then I'll finish up with, everything's happening with Dylan and Zane and the ending twist. Norman comes home. Norma starts talking to him about, Cody's not right. She's trouble. She's in from bad circumstances. You don't want to get her pregnant, end up in a bad situation. And I really think she was talking from experience. She got pregnant young. She messed around young. She had 2 kids young. She's still very young herself. And she doesn't want Norman to get in that situation. She doesn't want him to make, in a way, the same mistake she did. It's different because she's a woman and he's a man, but you know what I mean. She's definitely speaking from experience, and she pulls it off really well. She really cares about Norman. It's a great relationship, like I've said, but you could definitely tell she was talking about past experiences, and I don't like how they did that. So, finishing up, Dylan meets Zane at the restaurant, and Zane comes in, he beats the hell from Romero, and they start talking, but when they go outside, this car starts coming down the road, and they're trying to shoot Zane, trying to kill him, and Dylan knocks Zane down on the pavement to save him, goes out and starts shooting at the car. He gets 1 or 2 of them, but then he gets run over. He gets put in the hospital. And that surprised me, because the whole time I thought Dylan was against Zane, and didn't like him, didn't how insane and unbalanced he was. But that surprised me, really surprised me. And I think that's going to add a lot of tension between him and Remo now, because, they obviously are they're together more now. He's leaning more towards Zane's side. He could have just been like, I didn't see it, I didn't catch it in time, Zane gets mowed down, he's dead. And you know what I think? It's not Romero that called the hit. It's not another family that called the hit. Very well could be. But I think Remo did it. I think Remo's had enough. He's trying to get rid of Zane and make it look like somebody else did it. That's my theory. We'll see how that turns out. So, Emma and Gunnar, they have sex. And that's going to lead to something if Norman finds out. But The end. Dylan wakes up in the hospital, and he finds out that the sister is the boss, not Zane. And it ends like that. You know, that's the very end of the episode. And I can't wait to see what that brings. One last thing, because I'm winding down way too much. I know you're going to get this over with. One last thing is, Lee Berman, or whatever his name was, on the council, had a wreck. And I really think this is where Norma starts saying this. He's bad news. This is not good. This is not what you want. Of course, it's going to be made to look like an accident, but she suspects. She knows what's going on. She knows it wasn't a real accident. And you leave off on those two notes. So what's going to happen next episode? Comes out Monday. I can't freaking wait to see it. It's going to be awesome. And until next time, peace out.